Hey guys, Ted with GammaEdge coming at you with a market recap for August 5th, 2025. Pre-market, we talked about the iron condor structure. That was within the SPX 0DT structure today. You can see the chart here. I have the upper and the lower legs, and then our DEX transition. And the bottom of the iron condor leg and our DEX transition, they were just perfect goalpost for price action today. That's the reason we go through it. That's the reason that we plot these levels, because time and time again, we see them as key levels of reference throughout the intraday trading session. So with that, we're going to review the pre-market prep real quick, then we're going to look at our intraday tools. So getting into it, this is our 0DT dashboard from today. Here we have the iron condor structure that's in the teal, or we have our DEX transition zone, which is in the blue. Right, and then our drunken daily range, which is where we just expect meandering of price, is exactly what we got, that expanded from the upper to the lower leg of the iron condor structure. And then that the reason that we plot this DEX transition zone is because that's a key kind of bullish bearish kind of sentiment fulcrum for the day. And so we had that aggressive sell-off on the news this morning. Obviously, you can't predict how price is going to move on a kind of news event like that. However, what we do know is, we lost the bottom of our DEX transition zone, proceeded to move into the iron condor structure. Historically, we know that the upper and lower bounds of this structure generally are tough levels to overcome. By what I mean by there is, we generally have to see, just given when looking at the distribution of speculation, how much speculation is sitting at those levels. It's going to take a ton of volume to overcome those strikes, which we did not get today, right? We saw a nice bounce at that level. Let me just flip back to the chart. Saw a nice bounce at that level again, then ping-ponged with the DEX transition zone, and then we kind of settled it at 6,300. And what does that look like in the context of an intraday volume analysis? So here, this is SPX 0 DT volume. Specifically, what we're looking at is something we call centroid, which is every 5 minutes we grab the volume. We find the middle point of that volume, which is called a centroid, and we plot that. So calls above, puts below. So plot, 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 plot. We can understand what the behavior of speculation is throughout the session, whether that be choppy or trending. And then B, all things equal, if we know where the centroids have been, we know where they're likely to go throughout the remainder of the session. And so important point in the beginning of the session, right? The calls were just ramping lower. We got price moving lower. That was kind of a key tell there. And then really it was just sideways kind of choppy action throughout the remainder of the session. Something we do want to note is once we got this trend change in price action in the call centroid here higher, this in our opinion kind of reflected call buying. And something that we like to refer to is the midpoint of that call buying, where those calls start to become at the money or in the money, propensity to monetize. So in the context of here, that midpoint was kind of around this area in here. Right, so once we started to get up here, we started interacting with our line of best fit, that 50 delta line, right? Then we stopped seeing this centroid moving higher, or let me rephrase that. This started moving lower as price was moving higher, a bit of a divergence there. So yes, we had a pretty nice rip higher, but once we were getting up to this level, likely was running out of steam. So that was something key to understanding and how to interpret these charts. And yes, I realize that this is all hindsight, but right, sports teams, we watch game film. They watch game film. I don't play sports, right? And so we should be watching game film as well, so we can understand and recognize this tomorrow. Right here, this is just an example of what it looks like on an intraday basis. This was at 1:15 Eastern Standard Time. So here we can see the behavior. Lines of best fit have been trending side or lower on the call side, sideways on the put side. And so the thing to note is, yes, call activity is above that line of best fit, so that's naturally going to move it higher as we move throughout the session, so long as it stays above. However, what we do know is, it's making like lower lows and lower highs, so that call expansion is really not continuing higher. It's really has been starting to wane off there. Right, and then moving on to 1:55 p.m., right, saw a nice kind of expansion higher, but again, starting to get that curling over up near 6,200, which we know is the top of the DEX or the bottom of the DEX transition zone. So this is generally a key level of reference where we could start to see stalling from that move higher. Other thing I want to point out is market trend model was not super inspiring today. Yeah, I mean, fairly flat, a little bit higher on the cumulative tick, but the filter tick itself really showed no buying throughout the session or selling throughout the session for that matter. So this kind of choppy intraday price action from the lows makes sense just in the context of what the tick was telling us. So with that's what I got for you guys tonight. Ultimately, the key takeaways really is the presence of the iron condor structure, how we identify that, and the DEX transition and our pre-market prep, kind of understanding the if-thens of if we break these levels, this is likely to happen. If we take over these levels, this is likely to happen. And then that's really how we got prepared to then kind of understand price action within the context of these kind of key goalposts on the session that we plotted before market open, and then layering in our intraday volume analysis to understand kind of what people are doing once the bell opens and people are transacting. So with that, I hope this was helpful. Takeaway I want to leave you with is, if this stuff is new, foreign to you, maybe first time you're stumbling on us, if you go to GammaEdge.us, click on our free courses. We have a blog, we have newsletters, but GammaEdge Fast Pass, something new that we've launched. This is basically everything we give to our paid community in terms of our tools, in terms of our methodology, how to interpret that stuff. Each lesson is designed with an actual takeaway that you can incorporate as soon as tomorrow's trading. So our gift to you to sign up for that requires an email. Reason we do an email is because we give you a sequence of emails to help walk you through the course. It's very important because there's a lot of detail in this, so we need to hold your hand a little bit, especially if you're new to this stuff. So go have fun with that stuff. Again, it's free, so hopefully you get some value with that. So with that, appreciate the time. Just over 5 minutes. You guys have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.